morning and welcome everyone. My name is Camille Kerr and I'm the founder and president of a nonprofit named Caribbean Women's Society. It's a grassroots volunteer-based organization aimed at improving in quality of life for the Caribbean Canadian community. On behalf of our board members, partners, and ambassadors, some of who are joining us here today, I'd like to thank the members of the Caribbean Canadian community, the Assistant Mayor of Brampton, Councillor Bowman, our Brampton councillors, and other public officials, witnesses and our supporters, as well as our emergency rescue support, for sharing in this historic moment to recognize, educate, and celebrate the Caribbean contributions to Canada, the second annual flag-raising ceremony for Caribbean Heritage Month. The Caribbean Canadian community is defined as all peoples native to or descending from Caribbean nations and territories, and who reside in Canada, including newcomers, and who self-identify as Caribbean Canadian. So let me clarify any past misunderstandings or miscommunication. The Caribbean people do not represent any one particular country. They don't represent any one particular language or any one particular race. Rather, the Caribbean is a region and culture made up of 42 nations. In spite of their brutal history of colonialism, slavery, and indentured servitude, today's Caribbean peoples manifest a beautiful and complex mosaic of ancestries, including the Indigenous, African, Latin American, South Asian, European, and Asian, and a multitude of languages, including the 6 official languages: English, French, Dutch, Spanish, Creole, and Papiamento. We are richly diverse and distinct Caribbean peoples with a shared, long-standing connection to Canada. Caribbean people have been a part of Canada's history since the late 1700s and have been contributing to Canadian society ever since. It's our time that our story is finally told. See us for who we are as people and call us by our rightful name, Caribbean Canadian. And now to share his inspiration, one of our board members and the creative genius behind the first ever Caribbean Heritage Month flag and logo, please join me in welcoming Mr. Oliver Levy, joined by his family, Lisa and Jalea.
Good morning, everyone.
Good
Thank you
morning.
for Camille for that introduction. It's a privilege and an honor for me to be able to work with Camille, the president, and these organizations who are focused on building a thriving Canadian community. It was fun and exciting working on this historic, vibrant mosaic design that is our logo, and it's now officially our flag. This mosaic on this Caribbean heritage flag represents, like Camille said, all 42 Caribbean countries, Caribbean regions, and Caribbean territories. My aim is to demonstrate all that diversify our Caribbean people make us a formidable collective. This flag represents Caribbean Canadian identity, capacity, and unity. Be sure to visit our own fundraising table to pick up your own keepsake flag. It's very worthy of its cause. All proceeds will go towards Caribbean activity this month. I am proud, I hope I can speak for everyone that's here when I say that I am very proud to be part of this establishment of Caribbean Heritage Month, an historic occasion for Caribbean Canadian communities. Thank you guys for joining us here for this historic moment, and I hope to see you all this month in our activities. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, so just to prove to you, as Oliver and I already mentioned, that the Caribbean is very diverse, we're doing a roll call. So who is here today from the Caribbean? Shout out your island that you're representing.
Okay.
Barbados.
Barbados is here.
Jamaica.
Guyana's here.
Jamaica.
St. Kitts and
Sorry?
Nevis.
Trinidad.
Trinidad and Tobago.
Huh?
Montserrat, Jamaica. Okay, so that's just to name a few. There's actually 42, right? So that's just, I'm telling the truth. There are actually 42. So there's also diversity in the ancestries. So again, if I could just hear some of the ancestries that you're representing from the Caribbean. Anybody? India. India's here. There's also Africa. My grandfather is Chinese Trinidadian. Okay, so we don't all look the same. There's actually a lot of diversity. So there's proof in what I'm saying here today. So thank you, Mr. Oliver, for sharing your inspiration behind the logo and the flag. October is a significant month for the Caribbean Canadian community. Improvements to the Immigration Act in October '67 and the introduction of the multiculturalism policy in October '71 opened new doors for Caribbean people to see Canada as a place they could call home, a place to establish roots, raise their children, and become a part of Canada's cultural mosaic. Fast forward to October 2018. Caribbean Women's Society made history in Canada by proclaiming October as Caribbean Heritage Month and publicly recognizing the importance of Caribbeans in Canada. Since then, mayors and councils across the GTA, including Brampton, who's hosting us today, are demonstrating solidarity by recognizing the Caribbean Canadian community with official proclamations in their respective cities and towns. Now we're calling on each of you to help us take it to the next level. Contact your member of provincial parliament and petition them to represent this community of voters by sponsoring our bill to recognize Caribbean Heritage Month in Parliament. And now to offer a few congratulatory words, please join me in welcoming the Assistant Mayor of Brampton, Councillor Jeff Bowman.
Woo! Woo!
Wow, that's very kind. I'm not really an assistant mayor. I call myself the spare mayor. Mayor Patrick Brown is not here, so each of us get a chance every month to be the acting mayor. So October is my month. So thank you very much for being here, and I would ask that my fellow councillors, Rowan Santos, Harkirat Singh, and Paul Vicente join me up here. Oh, and Charmaine Williams, thank you.
Island time.
Charmaine, what island are you representing?
Jamaica.
All right, thank you. On behalf of my colleagues on council, it's my pleasure to bring greetings on behalf of Mayor Patrick Brown and welcome everyone to Brampton City Hall for this exciting flag-raising ceremony. I'd like to recognize these dignitaries. Thank you for standing up here with me today, as well as Kevin Yard and Sarah Singh, who are always here at our events supporting everything that goes on in the city. Thank you very much. This is the first time the Caribbean Heritage Month flag will be raised at City Hall. Congratulations. Won't be the last time, guaranteed. We are honored that the Caribbean Women's Society and the Caribbean Heritage Month Committee have chosen Brampton for their second Caribbean Heritage flag raising ceremony. Thank you very much. We are honored. Thank you to the Caribbean Women's Society, the Caribbean Canadian Parents United, and the Caribbean Canadian Chamber of Commerce. And wow, what a win to show off your flag. That is wonderful. Sometimes we have a flag raising here and there's no wind at all, so this is great. The Caribbean Chamber of Commerce and the board members for organizing today's ceremony and bringing members of the community together. Thank you. We heard all the different communities that are represented here. And we will recognize the contributions of Caribbean Canadians to Brampton and all communities across Ontario and Canada. Thank you. Brampton is home to a large and vibrant Caribbean Canadian community with citizens of the 42 Caribbean nations, regions, and territories represented on the Caribbean flag. That's a beautiful flag, by the way. I love that. We're very proud to live in a city that values diversity. It's our diversity that helps to make Brampton such a great place to live. We're celebrating this diversity today with the raising of the Caribbean Heritage Month flag, our 31st flag raising of 2019. Of the 31 flag raisings, we have recently raised flags for Independence Days of Caribbean nations, including Jamaica, Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Dominican Republic, and next month, Barbados. Okay? So I would ask that Camille Kerr join us on stage. We do have a proclamation for you. Oh yes, thank you very much to Brampton Fire for being here. You are very big supporters of the library event we have here as well. We thank you for being here. This is for you. Okay, you want to come around the other side, and that way we can get everybody in the picture. So, whereas Caribbean Canadians have made and continue to make significant contributions to Canada across all fields and industries as early as 1700s, Caribbean Women's Society has declared the month of October as Caribbean Heritage Month to recognize, celebrate, and educate the public on Caribbean culture, heritage, and contributions. Caribbean Heritage Month will be an opportunity to remember, celebrate, and educate future generations about Caribbean Canadians and the important role that they have played and continue to play in communities across Ontario. Therefore, Patrick Brown, I as acting mayor, Jeff Bowman, on behalf of the City Council, proclaim October 2019 as Caribbean Heritage Month in the city of Brampton. Congratulations.
Thank you, Acting Mayor, Councillor Bowman. So, this month is meant to bring diverse Canadians together, to celebrate our multiculturalism, and to recognize what makes our province and our country one of the most desirable places to live. We pay homage and take great pride in those Caribbean Canadians who came before us as early as the 1700s, and as recent as our elders, all of whom carried the heavy burden of the times and paid a hefty cost inconceivable to most of us, and also that we and future generations could experience a kind of life better than their own. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge one person in particular, a board member, an unwavering supporter, and the strongest woman I've ever known, my mom, Jenna Laban, who unfortunately could not join us today as she was recently diagnosed with a brain tumor and is laser focused on fighting back with astounding vigor and grace. On behalf of your 3 children, Mom, and your 13 grandchildren, thank you for all the sacrifices you made so that we could have a better life. To our Caribbean Canadian elders, please continue to share your stories and life experiences with the younger generations. Your knowledge and wisdom voids our longing for grounding and identity, and helps to strengthen our cultural connection in a way that we cannot acquire by any other means. To our Caribbean Canadian youth, including my 5 children who are here with me today, be proud of your heritage and your identity. Be guided by the knowledge and wisdom of our elders. Be confident that you are valuable beyond measure, and be ignited by what is sparking up here today. Be accountable and be ready when we pass the torch onto you. And to our Caribbean Canadians in between, continue to stand together and put in the tireless work necessary to honor, represent, and preserve our heritage so that we may inspire the next generation to do the same. At this time, I would like to invite my family, our board members and their families, Acting Mayor Jeff Bowman, and the Brampton councillors to please join Mr. Oliver at the community flagpole. And may I ask the rest of our esteemed guests joining us here today to kindly stand up with us as we begin the official proclamation. So let me remind those who have forgotten, enlighten those who are unaware, assert to the deniers, reassure the wavering, and reaffirm to the conscious with our Caribbean Heritage Month proclamation. Ontario is home to a large and vibrant Caribbean Canadian community, a diverse group of nations and territories, all 42 of them represented in the Caribbean Heritage flag. Since the first Caribbeans arrived in the late 1700s, Caribbean Canadians from across Ontario have made significant contributions across all fields and industries, including science, education, IT, medicine, agriculture, hospitality, the domestic trade, academia, broadcasting, law, politics, business, sports, art and culture, and philanthropy, and that's just to name a few. Caribbean Canadians have helped build Ontario into the multicultural success story that it is, and have helped to build this province into the best place to live, work, and raise families. They continue to help foster growth, prosperity, and innovation throughout Ontario. By proclaiming the month of October as Caribbean Heritage Month, Caribbean Women's Society and its partners, ambassadors, and supporters recognize the important contributions that Caribbean Canadians have made to Ontario's social, economic, political, and cultural fabric. And so, it is with great honor and privilege that I, Camille Kerr, founder and president of Caribbean Women's Society, for the second year in a row, do hereby proclaim the month of October is observed and celebrated as Caribbean Heritage Month in Ontario. To all the Caribbean Canadians who are here with us today, representing some 500,000 Caribbean Canadians across Ontario, please repeat these 6 words after me and a vow. We are here, accomplished, and united. Happy Caribbean Heritage Month. We are here, accomplished and united. We are here, accomplished and united. We are here, accomplished and united. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Please stay until 12 p.m. to sign our guest poster, purchase a keepsake flag, a t-shirt, sign our petition, join our memberships. At this time, I'd like to invite my family, the board, and their families, Acting Mayor Jeff Bowman and Brampton councillors to join me at the cake table. Thank you for coming, everyone. Stay for cake and continue the celebration by attending the various cultural events that we have planned throughout the month, starting with the first ever Caribbean Dance-a-thon for all ages this Sunday, October 6th. Follow Caribbean Heritage Month at OURCHM on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay connected. Drive safe and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.